Let's move on to Pixels.
Oh.
Now,
shall I leave the room? No,
we did. It seems like only yesterday that we last reviewed an Adam Sandler film together, and it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, that was The Cobbler, and then we've had 2 Adam Sandler films in 3 weeks. I think the timing of Mark's holiday now makes crisp and terrifying sense to me that he would want to be out of town when these films were on. Pixels is a Happy Madison production. The Cobbler was a kind of an indie effort just on the side. This is from Adam Sandler's own production house, Happy Madison. So this wellspring of effluvia where all of his previous work has come from. Notionally, it's a family film, but fans of the cackling misogyny and the glamorized indolence that is totally characteristic of Happy Madison films, they will find a lot of that to go around here.
Yeah.
The premise is basically Ghostbusters, but with arcade game characters instead of ghosts. Sandler plays Sam Brenner, who's a TV installer. He's a former arcade gaming prodigy. And in a flashback intro, we see his younger self competing in this 80s arcade tournament. The footage from this tournament, for unexplained reasons, is beamed into space. It's a kind of a PR thing. I don't know. Dan Aykroyd kind of glosses over the details. He has a bit of a cameo, as does a brand of vodka that Dan Aykroyd is currently involved in promoting, so a little bit of cheeky product placement there as well. This footage goes into space. Some alien race picks it up, and they understand it as a declaration of war. So a number of years later, the aliens arrive in our solar system and challenge Earthlings to real-life versions of Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Galaga, Centipede, and so on. And here we have a clip of Adam Sandler and 2 gaming experts who are played by Josh Gad and Peter Dinklage, and also a token woman who is played by Michelle Monaghan, being instructed as to how to take these aliens on.
Thanks for coming. We saw how you guys took care of the centipedes. We hope you can do the same for us.
We hope so also. Well, what are we dealing with?
Over here. Rookie, just tell them what you saw.
It was awful. It was like one of those monster movies, you know? But this time, the monster was real.
And who was this monster?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man? Boom, that's my jam. Let's get us some light cannons and blow the sucker back to whatever planet it came from.
No, light cannons don't kill Pac-Man. Those little ghosts do.
Boom, let's get us some little ghosts.
You want ghosts?
She's got ghosts.
No. I will say, I emerged from the cinema after this film hissing with this righteous and swinging fury about it. And actually, since having seen the film, that's settled down, and I'm aware that certain things in it, it's not a total disaster zone. There are a few redeeming qualities. One of them is Peter Dinklage, of course, plays Tyrion on Game of Thrones. We heard him there saying, "Boom, that's my jam," and he gives it's a strange kind of an anti-performance. It's not, he's not bad, but what he does is like this metatextual commentary on badness. Every single line is monstrously over-egged, and he must know that the jokes are as bad as they are, but he really throws himself into this kind of hilarious degree. So Peter Dinklage, I kind of a qualified thumbs up for that. Also the pixels themselves, the special effects in this film are very well achieved.
Actually.
Obviously the sprites, all kind of, if you were at all involved in video games in the 80s, you'll recognise the characters, and the sprites themselves are works of art, but the way in which they're placed into the environment, and they have this lovely paper lantern-like glow about them, which I think works incredibly well. It's hard to imagine them being done any better. And then also there are strange joke ideas that the film sort of throws out there and doesn't really know what to make of. For example, we find out close to the start of the film, you have Adam Sandler's best friend, who is, of course, played by Kevin James, a.k.a. Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Every time.
Paul Blart Mall Cop is back. And he has grown up to become the President of the United States. Now, why this happens, I don't know. It's just kind of something. He's not a particularly popular president. So you have President Paul Blart Mall Cop wandering around. But if the film had really kind of looked at that and thought, what would happen? What would it be like if Paul Blart Mall Cop was the President of the United States? It would be horrible. You could mine a lot of humour from that, and the film just doesn't know what to do with it. But it's kind of there. It's an idea that's sort of almost vaguely not quite worked through. And you get this idea that there is a possible version of this film that could be good. However, this is 100% not it. And the problems all orbit around Adam Sandler, who just, whenever he walks onto screen, this great yawning chasm of despair just seems to open up in the middle of the movie. Now, the jokes are beyond awful. It's murderously unfunny script. There's a moment Peter Dinklage's character describes himself as Fire Blaster. That's his handle. That's his gamer's name. And at one point he wears a pair of reading glasses unexpectedly, and Adam Sandler's character refers to him as Bifocal Blaster. Now it doesn't rhyme. It's not a play on words. It's not a joke. It exists in this kind of theoretical space between jokes, and this is all that this film does, is kind of rack up these non-jokes side by side and allow Sandler to mumble and mutter his way through them. There's another sequence in which his character is supposed to moonwalk across the room, and we see Sandler kind of pose to start the moonwalk, and then the camera cuts away to this anonymous pair of feet which perform the maneuver backwards like that.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Sandler for the ta-da. Now, you can see in his eyes that he knows how lazy this is. He didn't do the maneuver. He's not being physically funny in this film, and he's not being verbally funny in this film. And it shows there's this kind of, you stare, there's a hollowness and a hauntedness at the middle of Adam Sandler's performance in this. You stare into his eyes, and the pitiless void stares back. Worse still, though, is the film's portrayal of its female characters. Michelle Monaghan, as I've said, she's only there. She's a single mother. She's only there for Adam Sandler to fawn over and ooze around and flirt with, which is
As
pretty
is the only
difficult.
other female who plays the computer-generated character. That
Worse still, yes.
Josh Gad,
Josh Gad, who was very charming as Olaf the Snowman in Frozen, and he will always have that to his credit. But in this film, he plays this conspiracy theorist stroke expert gamer who's been in love with this video game character, fictional video game character, doesn't actually exist in real life, called Lady Lisa. And for winning one of the games, the aliens gift him Lady Lisa as a bride. So she's literally a trophy wife, and he's being rewarded with a woman. She's not made of pixels, of course. Unlike all the other video game characters in the movie, she's played by Ashley Benson, and she doesn't get to speak. And so she just stands there on his arm, she kisses him, and that's wonderful. And at the end of the film, this is not really a spoiler, all of the male characters are rewarded with women. You're thinking, what is this? What's the message here? It's the standard thing that crops up in every single Happy Madison film. Whether it's a big family movie like this or something as kind of nihilistically unfunny and specific to Adam Sandler's own style of comedy as Grown Ups or Grown Ups 2. It's just always there. As I've said, not everything in Pixels is awful. A film of this scale, it's probably not possible for Adam Sandler to infect every last part of it with his awfulness. But that indifference, the ultimate indifference to whether or not what's being done is entertaining, as long as it gets done, it's there in his performance and it's writ large over the whole movie.